I met a Gypsy.
That's super interesting. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, throttle today, you have the twist throttle, you have the thumb. Some snowmobiles have like a finger throttle.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. Should be played around with. But I mean, finger would be difficult since you have the rear brake there. Then you have double levers. It gets very messy. I don't think that's perhaps the...
I wonder if there's like a slider kind of thing that you could have. That's like a sensor, like a, I don't know, like a sliding type of deal. Yeah, we're getting out there, but
well, something that I really believe it's gonna happen though, that's more straightforward, is digital suspension, and most likely I would say digital air suspension.
Yeah,
because you know, how many people have the perfectly adapted suspension for their riding?
Zero.
Very few. And I mean, it also depends on which track you're at. Yeah, zero. And so you should be able to develop a suspension which you can adapt digitally, or maybe even by AI. You don't have to adapt it at all. It feels where you're riding and how you're riding.
Yeah.
That should not be too far away. I mean, now to change your suspension settings, you have to rebuild it. It takes, hours. It's crazy.
Are you
looking
like
rebuilding a motor?
Yeah, same thing. Are you looking at because I know that Ducati does electronic suspension, I think on their like V4R or like some of their more expensive models. Are you looking at companies like that are kind of already dabbling in some of this technology?
No, we have not started looking into that yet. But I think it's the future. Then how it's going to happen, and how we will see. But for sure, it has to happen. I mean, I think with the powertrain going to electric, that's a huge revolution. I would say the next huge revolution would be the suspension adapting in a much easier way to how you're riding, and perhaps even lighter also, because it's quite heavy today.
Yeah, and then does that become more of a hardware issue or a software issue? Because now we're really starting we're starting to blur the lines for the first time in motocross to where, or I guess just two wheels, I guess off-road two wheels, where it's like there's hardware challenges, but there's also software challenges. And sometimes a software challenge can actually override the hardware challenge. And we're going from, there's a big shift that's going to happen just of the personnel that are working on these bikes, because it was like yourself, you just started as a mechanic, you're this mechanically minded person that is now, that's like the backbone of this industry and its existing format. But now we're going to be going to this platform where it's like the software engineers are going to, kind of replace, or I guess add on a whole nother group of people that are going to be working on these bikes from going forwards.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make it a software challenge, because you need to get rid of all the hardware, because if you need hardware to make change your settings on the suspension, you're not fixing the problem. Because I mean, it's like a new solution needs to be better, I think, in every aspect. You cannot just improve one little thing and then the other thing is getting worse. So it needs to be lighter, it needs to obviously work better, it needs to be adaptable only through a click in your display, or completely automatic. And for that to happen, it needs to be a software issue. So probably the easiest way would make digital air suspension, because the problem with air suspension today is that air changes density so much with altitude or temperature. So and it's actually a similar problem in tires. So I mean, you need to readjust the pressure in your forks all the time, which is ridiculous. No one wants to do that, or will do it. So
and you can't in the middle of a moto.
No, I mean, you have to decide, like, okay, I will set up for a hot suspension, and then when I go out, it's going to be too soft. Okay. Which is, crazy. Same with tires. You go out with a specific pressure and the temperature increases 30 Celsius, is going to change the pressure inside the tires. So you have to make it digital, I think.
And so with the software side of things, I can imagine that's probably one of the most fun parts of this whole deal, is that because I mean, obviously you've ridden the bike, like to go from the maximum power to like really dumbing it down, like when you really get into the settings, like how noticeable is it? And is that like a really fun part of the process for you, is to like build on these software features?
Yeah, I'm not so involved in the software development. It's very much done by the software engineers and Sebastian. So I can't say that I have really experienced those changes so much, and we're still quite early on in our software development. Testing different ride modes and stuff like that. So I think that is, we know exactly what we can do, and we have tested obviously different power levels, but it's still a little bit early. This is the main focus for the next month, is to evolve all of that and develop the full functionality of the software with the different so we have made adjustments, but now it's done directly in the code, so it's not really,
there's no UI
making
there.
the changes now.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's gonna come, I think within the next month we're gonna move over to that, of course still optimizing the code in the background, but so now they are changing the power through a phone, but it's in the software directly, so it's still a bit too early for like experiencing that in the best possible way. It's I mean, it's very cool from the aspect that Seb is coming in and saying that I want it to be a little bit more responsive or more engine braking or whatever, and within 1 minute they have changed it. So it's there. The only thing is the UI is it's going to be a different level when you can just drag with your finger and it happens immediately. So
do you think that'll be ready for the media testing?
Hopefully.
I think that'll be massive.
Yeah. So you're coming for the media testing. I think you booked. Yeah,
that's my plan.
That's gonna be so nice to get your first impression of riding the bike. I hope we will have it working till then. That's the plan. But we're not there yet, so we have to see.
So I guess that's a good segue into just the development process. So I mean, how much right now of the development of the bike is spent with Seb on the bike and riders on the bike versus how much is being done in the lab essentially?
I mean, when it comes to testing, that is mostly done at the track right now, but then of course all the engineers are working on changing one component from CNC manufacturing to casting it, so you're adding a few changes to every drawing for that, but from testing it's mainly done at the track right now.
So how many, I guess, what's a day of testing look like when it goes to the track? Like, are you guys able to, have you got like multiple bikes and then you've got Seb, like is he out there? Are you to the point where it's like you guys can just ride and you've got multiple units and charging, and it's like quite an active process? Because I could see it being early days when there's like one working model and a small like crew. Has it evolved since there to where it's like you guys are really able to put a bunch of laps on these things nowadays, or?
Yeah, but it's really changing depending on what kind of testing we're doing. So we're adapting the testing quite a lot based on that. So right now they are doing some frame testing. So we are just confirming exactly how the frame is working. So it's pretty cool. We have 2 sensors, or more than 2, but we have sensors on the frame tubes, which have a ridiculous sensitivity. So if you take the top frame tube, and you press it with your fingers, like if you press a steel tube, nothing is going to happen. These sensors show how it's flexing. Because and it's so little, you could, this is a thick steel tube, like it's not flexing, but the sensitivity is so ridiculously high. So that's we're doing that now. And then when we're doing the suspension testing, defining all these different settings, we have 7 different suspension settings based upon your weight. That's a different kind, where we're bringing in riders in different weight classes and doing riding, of course. from 65 to 100 kilos. So yeah, it really adapts to the kind of testing that we're doing. But yeah,
it must just be
it's pretty cool. These
it must just be a cool process.
Insane what you can. Yeah, I know. It's like seeing on a screen. Imagine you're pressing a steel tube and the screen is showing when you're pressing it. Like, that's high level of sensitivity. It's insane.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.